All right, everyone, I'm back. It's been a while. Hope you haven't missed me too much. But I got a new episode for you. I'm going to begin tonight by talking about Romania and then Poland. Both countries held presidential elections today, on the day I'm recording this first part, on the 18th of May, 2025. Romania's election is decided. We have a result that I'm happy about. Poland's election will go to a second round 2 weeks from today. So I want to briefly talk about both of those. And then I got an interview for you guys. I had one of my friends over, and when we sat down and recorded a short interview where we just talked about stuff that I found mildly interesting. So I hope you guys stick around for that. That's something, the interviews that I want to try doing more often. I want to do this again. I might have a few people lined up going forward. Um, there won't be a set schedule for that. I'll just do it when, you know, the right time comes. But be on the lookout for that. Make sure you watch the interview after I talk about Romania and Poland. So, beginning with Romania.
Președintele României pe votul din țară, conform exit poll-urilor, este... Să vedem rezultatul exit poll-ului. Nicușor Dan, 54,9%. George Simion, 45,10%. O diferență uriașă. Acesta este rezultatul exit poll-ului Avangard. 54,9%. Nicușor Dan, 45,10%. George Simion. E bucurie enormă aici în sala Gea Rosetti și sunt convins că este tristețe în multe locuri din țară. Să vedem rezultatul exit poll-ului.
A flicker of hope from Eastern Europe, a reminder that even in a world teetering towards authoritarianism, voters still sometimes choose reason over rage. Exit polls tonight from Romania's capital show that Nicosor Dan, a soft-spoken mathematician turned mayor, is on track to defeat the loud, proud, and Trump-obsessed George Simion, a man whose politics are equal parts nationalism, paranoia, and performative rage. Let's be clear, Simion wasn't just running for office. He was auditioning for a European remake of January 6th. This is a man who pounded podiums, mimicked MAGA mantras, and tried to ignite fear over facts. A candidate whose platform was less about policy and more about volume. But the people of Bucharest and Romania, at least for now, appear to have rejected the circus in favor of the serious. Dan, at 55, is not flashy. He's not charismatic. What he is competent, calm, principled, a centrist who focused on transit infrastructure and transparency. In other words, governing. And in a time when politics so often rewards chaos, his projected victory is not just a win, it's a statement. And what a statement it is. That in a country where far-right rhetoric has been gaining ground, that in a city as complex and fractious as Bucharest, that in an era where the shadow of Donald Trump stretches grotesquely across oceans and borders, reason can still prevail. Let's not sugarcoat it. George Simion came dangerously close. And like others who traffic in Trumpian tactics, he will not fade quietly. But tonight, at least, the capital of Romania reminded the world that democracy can still win. It can still defend itself. And sometimes it does so with a whisper, not a scream. This is the resistance. This is the fight. And tonight, Bucharest, of all places, may have just thrown the first punch.
To oznacza, że wyniki pierwszej tury wyglądają...
Na pierwszym miejscu Rafał Trzaskowski 30,8%.
Drugie miejsce Karol Nawrocki z wynikiem 29,1 punkt procentowy, a to oznacza, że różnica między kandydatami jest taka, że warto oglądać wieczór wyborczy, ale to, co jest najciekawszego, proszę teraz spojrzeć, bo czegoś takiego absolutnie nikt się nie spodziewał. Pierwszy Rafał Trzaskowski, drugi Karol Nawrocki.
Next, today's Polish presidential election. 13 candidates, but no knockout punch. But the bell has rung, and now Rafał Trzaskowski and Karol Nawrocki step forward into a runoff that will decide not just who sits in a ceremonial palace, but whether Poland continues to rebuild its democracy or hand the keys back to the arsonists. Trzaskowski, the centrist, the liberal, the reformer, took to the stage in Sandomierz not to celebrate today, but to rally. Quote, "We're going to win," he said, adding that great determination would be needed. He wasn't wrong. Because he underperformed, opinion polls gave him a comfortable lead, but the far right surged. And Karol Nawrocki, the nationalist heir to the law and justice political machine, is now just one election away from being handed the power to veto every law Liberal Prime Minister Donald Tusk's coalition dares to pass. Let me say that again. The Polish presidency is mostly ceremonial, except when it isn't. It's ceremonial until the president vetoes abortion reform. It's ceremonial until the president blocks judicial independence. It's ceremonial until the president is a political wrecking ball aimed at a fragile parliamentary coalition trying to drag Poland back to democratic normalcy. Donald Tusk's government is trying and struggling to deliver the reforms it campaigned on, stymied again and again by current President Andrzej Duda, a conservative loyalist to the previous Law and Justice government. A Trzaskowski presidency would remove that roadblock. A Nawrocki victory would cement it. And now, Nawrocki is calling in reinforcements, not from the center, not from moderates, but from the furthest, most extreme fringes of Polish politics. He's asking supporters of Sławomir Mencen, a man whose policies would make Viktor Orban blush, and even Grzegorz Braun, whose views are so unhinged he's been ejected from parliament for hate speech, to quote, save Poland. Save it from what? From Donald Tusk? From judicial independence? From reproductive rights? From rejoining the liberal democratic world? This is not about the balance of power. This is about whether Poland tips back into the abyss. So here we are. The runoff set for June 1st, 2 weeks from now, is a referendum on the future. Trzaskowski wants to build. Nawrocki wants to barricade. The Polish people must now decide. Will they side with progress or with paralysis? Because if Trzaskowski loses, the message is clear that democracy in Poland may survive, but it will not move forward. And if Nawrocki wins, the veto pen becomes a sword, and democracy bleeds. This is the fight. This is the moment. And this time, all of Poland is in the ring. I'll have more to say about this 2 weeks from today. Anyway, that's the elections in Poland and Romania. Next, I bring you my interview that was recorded several weeks ago. I'm only posting now with my friend Chris. So thanks for watching and hope you enjoy the interview.
All right. My name is Chris. Like Robert was saying, we're coworkers. We work at the same job. Um, I am 20, and yes, I was in school. during when COVID was a thing. COVID was at its
All right.
peak. I was
Yeah.
in high school, so
Yeah. So, how do you think that like affected your cohort, the people who were in like high school during that period? Like, I assume there was like some sort of like negative.
yeah, very much
Uh,
so.
yeah, like it must have sucked. Like I like the way I experienced high school was probably like very different from the way you did.
Yeah, like I think so. When COVID first happened, I was a sophomore in high school, and it was like a big thing. We were all excited, like, "Oh, we get 2 weeks off of
Excited.
school."
Yeah,
We were, you know,
no, that makes sense.
yeah, we were, a bunch of sophomores in high school, and we just got told we weren't gonna go to school for 2 weeks.
Nah, that
So,
sounds cool.
yeah, so we
Yeah.
were happy, right?
Only 2 weeks.
And then 2 weeks went by,
Yeah,
and then it got extended to like what was it, 2 months or some shit, right?
like
And then after that, it got extended to like 2 years. So
yeah.
I think everybody's patience began to wear thin probably at the start of the next school year, I would say. Like that was when
So like
I
so
feel like people was
2020, you guys just did you just have school off spring of 2020?
we had school
Like
off for like 2 weeks and we had like a packet. And then
packet,
yeah, remember that? Yeah. Um we had school off for like
like paper packet?
Nah, like they sent us, they would like send us work.
Like in the mail?
No, we're like you didn't have computers in school.
I did, but like
yeah.
So they were holding the whole classroom like, yo, you got this assignment to do. You know, it's like search up online. Like, you know what I would do? The contact.
oh yeah, go.
I would,
It's a Chris friend.
I would like copy and paste certain questions of like the counselor, and I would search it up, right? And it would say it would have like a Quizlet or like a Google search list of like all the teachers that have used it, and it'd be like a worksheet with the answers. So I
Alright,
just
yeah.
like, bruh,
I feel like that stuff
I used to
was
do the same shit.
around when I was a kid also. But
Yeah.
like I have no clue if we'll record that, but we'll see. Um,
Um
but all right, so like you had a little work to do, but
yeah, we had some work to do, but overall, like we were working definitely a lot less. Um yeah, so like I said, I remember like you're thinking like, okay, I got no school for the rest of the year. That's cool. And then it goes to the next year and you're thinking
yeah.
like, okay, I'm missing out on all the things you hear high school is about. You feel me? And it just
Right, so
keeps going and
we're
going.
talking like fall 2020 right now, right?
Exact
So you had
like
the summer,
yeah,
COVID's
exactly.
still a thing, and then
hmm
like
And then once you lost the whole summer
did
to
you lose the
COVID,
whole summer
we
though,
lost the
actually?
whole yes, we
Like
lost the whole
what
summer from COVID. Yes, we did.
were people not doing stuff?
Nobody was doing
Because I
people
wasn't.
our age weren't doing
All right,
anything.
because
People in
I
high
was
school were
working.
not outside.
I was going to work and that's it. So like so all right, so you lost the summer, that sucks.
Yeah,
And then
people our age weren't doing
really,
anything. Yeah, I would say there are people like millennials and like people were like 21, 22, 23. They were still outside. They were still having fun. We
really,
were.
I wasn't.
Uh,
I was working. That's it.
hey,
I like
all right.
I like zoomed with my friends occasionally, but like I was taking COVID super seriously.
Oh,
Right?
hey.
Um, but like it wasn't ruining my high school. Right?
Yeah. I definitely think like long term effects started to take place like after that.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean it started to get into things like people I feel like people are less like I want to say for one emotionally mature than we were in the past. Like
Less
just in general, because we were put in
interesting.
less situations where we had to regulate our
Interesting,
emotions. You know.
interesting. So you were isolated and so you didn't get to like train those muscles.
Yeah,
Is that kind of
exactly.
what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
I
we're
mean,
a
I
lot
can
less.
imagine it.
Yeah, like our social muscles were atrophied almost. I
That's
feel like a
good.
lot of what
That's a
we
good
see.
metaphor.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of what's going on politically right now with Trump and like Hillary is definitely I said Hillary, Kamala and all that. It's definitely rooted a little bit in people's social muscles being a little bit atrophied, you know.
Interesting.
People not knowing
Interesting.
how to talk to people, you know, for real. People
Do
not
you think
having
that had an effect on youth? Like younger people voting towards Kamala?
100%. No, no, not voting towards Kamala, but voting
Against.
against Kamala
No, right,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you think that maybe that lack of socialization made certain people be wary of a woman? Is it,
Not
or am
wary
I
of a woman,
okay?
more so wary of empathy and
Which was like
understanding
Kamala's
of,
thing, though,
yeah.
right? Like that was Kamala Harris's
Yeah,
thing, though.
exactly. That was the platform she was kind of
Like
running on,
joy,
at least a little bit.
joy,
But she also, I also
joyfulness.
say Kamala also lost a lot of people just by not being vehemently pro Gaza. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, no, 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that cost her.
they cost her a lot of votes,
But
I would
like
say.
Trump wasn't pro Gaza either, though.
Yeah, what I'm saying,
Right?
at that point, it's like a lesser of two evils kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of people don't like that.
Yeah.
They don't want to make that
If people
decision.
want to make a decision between lesser of two evils, it's like why would I make this decision at all? You know, that's why we see so many
Yeah,
people
so
not voting in this recent election.
sure. So I'm a strong believer
Mhm.
in voting for the lesser of two evils.
You think?
Hell yeah,
I think that's always what you're gonna have to do for sure.
because I look at history and there's always a lesser evil and there's always like a what if and like you got to make pragmatic decisions and I think if Kamala Harris is president right now, there wouldn't be Trump videos about putting a casino in Gaza and kicking out right? Like that wouldn't be happening if Kamala Harris was president right now.
That was so
That's
crazy.
that's the lesser evil, and that's better. And like Kamala Harris would be talking to Bibi Netanyahu right now, and she'd be like, "Hey, we're not gonna like give you any more weapons if you don't
You
cut
think
this
Kamala
out."
Harris would
I
just suddenly
do.
just be like, I don't
Well,
know about
well,
that.
well, no, I do because like
I feel
like
like
he's a Trump supporter. Maybe Netanyahu is a Trump supporter, and Kamala doesn't like that, and like Democrats don't like that. Most Democrats don't like him.
okay.
Anyway, I agree that like um
I mean, yeah.
Biden, the Biden Harris administration supported Israel, and that hurt
That did.
with a lot of voters, and
I will
that's a
say,
fact. And
yeah, I will say, 100%.
yeah,
I feel that Democrats and Republicans, when it comes to international policy,
yeah,
aren't so different. Like they're not as,
interesting.
yeah, like they're not so. I feel like Republicans. I think I saw this somewhere. Like Republicans are like the accelerant with a lot of things. Like they're so like in your face about a lot of things. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, no,
accelerate in a bad way. You know what I'm saying?
like that they're trying to accelerate destruction. Is
Almost,
that like
almost,
accelerationist?
but like
Okay,
more so just like we were talking about like being pro Israel. You know what I'm saying? The sentiment. I feel like
they're trying to mess everything up.
not necessarily.
Really?
Like I feel like like I said, they just hold a lot of the same views in many ways,
Yeah.
and it's just in a different font.
Hmm.
And so when it comes to things like, for example, I think this is actually kind of a valid point that America is beginning to kind of spread itself too thin across the world, right? I think that is honestly a valid point coming from like the other side. And it's like I feel like Democrats also somewhat agree on that, but it's like
Okay.
they're much more slow and plotting about it versus while Republicans would just outright say
Yeah.
Americans are blah blah blah,
No,
they're
yeah, yeah.
bleeding us dry, blah blah
Republicans,
blah.
100% Republicans.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
So that's super interesting because when I was younger, right, when George Bush was running for president, right,
Mhm.
that's what a lot of people said. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party are the same when it comes to foreign policy, right? Like they both support the Iraq War, Afghanistan. They both support NATO. They both support like fighting against China. Like they were both the same, but like I'm not sure they are the same anymore
Not
because
anymore.
like
I mean,
we
not
have one party that's pro-Putin and one party that's anti-Putin. We have one party that's pro-NATO, which is like right an alliance of democracies,
yeah.
and one party that's against NATO. one party pro, one party against, and like I feel like there's been this huge cleavage between the two parties when it comes to like foreign policy. Like
Mhm.
there used to be a consensus during the Cold War. Like Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Carter, Ford, Reagan, Bush, Senior, Democrat, Republican, Truman,
Mhm.
way back in 1948. Um, no, actually, uh, FDR died in 45. Regardless, right? Like back in the old days, both parties agreed on foreign policy.
I
And
would
that was like
say,
a legitimate grievance, right? It's like, how do
yeah,
we have no choice on this? Both parties agree on the same thing. But like I feel like that's totally changed today.
yeah,
Like Trump's attacking our allies.
that's true.
Canada, like how
Canada is
can
like
you?
crazy. Yeah,
It's crazy. It's
he
so
is. Yeah, they
crazy.
are kind of
So
like
crazy. And Democrats just aren't doing that.
that's true.
And
I feel like yeah, but there are certain like in general, the general basis of ideas I feel like are very similar across both
uh
parties. You know what I'm saying? The general basis of ideas. I think
it's rapidly changing though, I think.
you think,
Like as Trump takes more and more control over the Republican Party, I think like it's shifting to his viewpoint. And his viewpoint is like screw Canada, screw Britain, right? Like South Africa's committing genocide against white people. That's fucking insane. And like that's not happening. And Democrats are saying it's not happening. Like, I mean, um, any anyway,
people will. I mean, it just comes down to. I think, like I said, COVID. I think I saw a tweet about this or something. Like COVID broke people's minds in a ways that we don't fully understand yet. You know?
oh no, 100%,
Yeah,
100%. And we do not fully understand it yet. And that's
yeah.
like I feel like what a lot of people are trying to like figure out. But
There's like almost like the chip of like people are like fully like, people don't really take empirical evidence anymore and make a decision about that empirical evidence based on that. Like
no, that's
they'll already have a conclusion. They'll be born into a certain world and they'll live in that world and they'll become a certain person because of that. And they'll have an opinion and they'll be like, all right, say for example, you'll be like, oh man, what's 1 plus 1? Like, oh man, it's three, man. My dad told me it was three. No, it's not.
like
It's
Tucker
two.
Carlson told me it was three.
Like, no, bro, it's three. Trump said it was three. Kamala's saying it's two, but you're just
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
push the woke agenda, blah. Like, bro, chill out, bro.
And
Can we just
Trump is saying it like it is. He's saying like it is, right?
yeah, he
That's what they
says it
keep
with
saying.
confidence. That's another thing.
No, right.
People lack confidence nowadays. People,
I mean,
a lot of
like,
people aren't leaders. It's a lot. It's many different things. If I'm being honest. So,
yeah,
to go back to our original point though about like Republicans and Democrats in international policy,
yeah,
I think you're right. I think it is kind of rapidly changing,
yeah,
but I do think that on many issues, the basis of ideas are shared by Republicans and Democrats in many ways.
yeah. No, like, yes, but I feel like it's 90% of Democrats and like 55% of Republicans. Like it's not equivalent. Like the Democratic Party is united when it comes to foreign policy, mostly.
Yeah,
Gaza, Israel, the
that's
exception.
that's the only
But like
exception. That's a big exception.
China, Russia, like NATO, Canada, Panama, Greenland, right? The Democratic Party is united
I feel like
when
no,
it
but that's a
comes to
big
foreign
exception.
policy.
Like the fact that the Gaza thing, that's a big exception. I think
But it's an exception that's nuanced. I feel like because no one in the Democratic Party is saying I hate Israel. I want them to all die. Right? Like most people in the
there's a lot
Democratic,
of people who are saying that. That's what I'm saying.
not elected officials though.
Okay, yeah, true.
Right? So like there is a spectrum in the Democratic Party when it comes to the Israel-Gaza conflict, right? And there are people like, Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar who want like military aid cut off to Israel, which like I can get behind because Netanyahu is not a good guy. And like I can get and like if Kamala Harris was president right now, I swear to God, like he would not be getting weapons. I promise you.
I don't know, man.
Too many people have died, and Kamala Harris knows how to strike like a hard bargain. She knows how to put pressure on people. She's a prosecutor.
That's true. I will say that, but I mean, I just don't know. I feel like it's just not really in her best interest. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Her best interest is what's right in the world. Like I actually believe she's a
I don't
good
know.
person, and I have faith in her. Anyway, we got to bring this back to like young people real quick.
I do like Kamala Harris though. I think,
Oh, I know you do. I know you voted for her,
yes, I love Kamala
and
Harris. I think
like
she's
I
great.
voted for her, and like
Yeah.
but like yeah, let's swing this back real fast to I think the question I had, and like that is why did young people swing to the Republican Party, and why why did men swing more? Do you think? All right, so I want to bring this back to like the last election, 2024, Harris versus Trump. I got some stats here, courtesy of the Associated Press, Vocast. Um, young woman in 2020 voted 65% Democrat, and in 2024 they voted 58% Democrat.
Okay.
All right. So young men in 2020 voted 56% Democrat, but in 2024 they voted 43% Democrat. So in 2024, Trump won young men.
Mhm.
Harris won young women, but Trump won young men. Trump still gained in both groups. Why do you think that is? Well, why do you think young people shifted towards Trump?
Well, for one, I do feel the Republicans have more of a, for one, they have social media on like kind of on a like in a chokehold right now. Like
TikTok?
TikTok, even with,
TikTok.
I feel like I don't know if you heard this like phrase before, like the right wing pipeline or something like that.
Oh yeah, no, no. Way back in the '90s, Hillary Clinton
Hmm.
was talking about the vast white dude though, but the vast right wing conspiracy media. Like back in the '90s, they were talking about the right wing conspiracy media. Back then, it was like radio.
Okay,
But like today, it's
it's the internet.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
it's one. I mean, I've even watched like a video. This guy doing a study. He like made like fresh accounts on each thing and like changes location.
I've seen shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah, changes location depending on different states or whatever. And we'll look at one right wing video and then get recommended another one, and then
But
within a few days, their entire timeline is like swarmed with right
yeah,
wing.
like they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats.
Yeah, shit like that out of
Right,
nowhere.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And there's so many like different ways it can kind of suck you in.
Oh yeah.
That's one way I think it got a lot of young people. You know what I'm saying?
Like
And that coupled with COVID and people not really using their brain,
social
I think,
media. So you think you put a lot of the onus on social media.
yeah, I think a lot
That's
of.
what I personally me
Hmm.
as like a millennial.
Hmm.
I view it that way also. That like that's what changed. Um over the 8 years Obama was president,
Hmm.
what was the biggest change? It was social media. It was like Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah.
And I tend to agree that like social media was like a big focus that helped the right. Um,
Yeah, 100%.
so like I heard an interesting anecdote from someone on a podcast, and basically they were like, "It's fine." I mean, this is so amateur. Who cares?
Yeah,
Also, I'm like not editing
we're having
any of this,
we're having fun. Yeah.
so whatever. Anyway, like that like back in the olden days, like back in the '50s,
Hmm.
you like if there was like a rich person, going on like a fancy vacation
Mhm.
to the Caribbean. You didn't see that. You didn't know about that. Because like they were like doing their own thing. They lived in New York
Yeah,
and went to the Caribbean, and you lived in like Sacramento,
and
and you just did
you
not
just
know
wouldn't
about
hear
that.
about it. Yeah,
But nowadays, like you got social media, and you're on social media, and you're like, oh my God, I'm a waitress or a waiter at a diner, and like I work my ass off and I make no money. And then like there's this rich lady on TikTok who's like vacationing every day in Thailand and like I don't know, Cancun.
hmm
And like that makes you angry
it
because
does
like why can't I be doing that? And
exactly.
like the truth is in the olden days people were just like not everyone can do that, right?
It's true. That is 100%
And
true.
like so like I feel like yeah, social media's amplified like that like wealth divide. That's always been here.
Mhm.
Like it's worse
I
today.
think
It
it
is
is.
worse.
It does put optics
But
on
like
it.
it
Yeah,
amplifies it.
yeah.
Like people can see that now.
It definitely puts optics on it. I think that's definitely a part of it, and I think Trump played to the fact. I'm gonna be honest, like white people just didn't want to feel like they were getting beat out by like people of color. You
Absolutely.
know what I'm saying?
100%.
Whether that be
100%.
like
As a white
Hispanic,
person, like
Black, anybody. They just don't want to feel like they get beat out by somebody that they perceive to have less opportunities or somebody they feel is less than or
well,
whatever,
right,
you know?
and that goes back to the whole DEI thing where it's like a lot of people were like, "Oh, they picked Harris because she was a woman or
Yeah.
because she was black and Asian or whatever," right?
Which is like
And they're
they
like,
didn't even pick Harris.
it wasn't meritocracy.
They didn't even pick her, Robert. That's the crazy part.
No, they did that, but like they
Like that's
picked her,
crazy.
but
She
they
was
picked.
just
No, I understand that
she like
they,
that. No, I'm saying
yeah,
like that's how wild it, like they're saying like oh they picked Kamala Harris to be DEI.
she was the
She
vice
was the vice
president.
president.
Right, that's
Well,
the point.
was she supposed to top out?
Of course it was the vice president. Of
Was she
course.
just supposed? Oh no, I can't do this. I have to let a white man
Yes.
for me. I can't do
Like,
this.
like Joe Biden drops out at the last minute. Who are you going to pick to replace him? The vice president, the woman who's already there.
Newsflash.
No, right, but like, well, a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's not fair. We didn't get a vote. We didn't get to."
This is how the law has always been. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. Like
No, but
COVID
like,
just. I
and
feel
that
like
was an excuse. That was always an excuse.
yeah,
That was always a bullshit
100%.
excuse.
And I feel like
Like,
COVID just like 100% broke people. Like people don't want to just say
yeah,
like because like I said like certain like emotional immaturity and like just like people not wanting to just feel like
yeah,
the result of their life just because they made that decision. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
They need something to
No,
explain that. You know what I'm saying?
okay, yeah.
It's
Bad
like
decisions. I love that because like I feel like there's a, and we got to wrap up soon.
okay,
But I feel like there's a cohort of young men on the internet who are like angry. They're angry young men,
hmm
and they're of all groups, all types,
hmm
you know. But like they're very angry because they can't get a girl.
exactly.
And it's like,
That's
and to me, it's so obvious why they can't. It's personal decisions. It's like, right?
yeah.
It's like they're just they're 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 not good people,
People can't admit that to themselves.
right? But like, and that's the thing. Like
And
young
people truly
people,
they really think
they
like
think they
people
deserve they think they have no fault. They deserve shit, and like that's a huge problem. Like the Jordan Peterson stuff. You know the Jordan Peterson
yeah
stuff. Oh, that's something for another episode. But like
yeah
he's like a modern day cult leader.
yeah
And he's the Canadian too. I expect better from Canadians. But
yeah
yeah. So like anyway, to sum everything up, you think like social media played a huge role, and
definitely social media uh
young people,
COVID like we
COVID,
said yeah like COVID along with social media just created like the perfect storm. Somebody like Trump to swoop in. You know what I'm saying?
perfect storm.
Yeah.
Um, I think that sums it up really well. The perfect storm. Like go to 2016. It was a perfect storm of I don't want to get into it, but like,
I think that was just people.
well,
Because you got to remember, in 2016, the internet was still a little bit new, like just a little bit.
yeah, but like
You know,
the
people were still
Russians
getting
were
used.
still doing shit on like Twitter and Facebook.
People were
Um,
still getting used to like the fact that, like,
yeah,
whoa, I have this phone.
but like the thing about 2016 is he didn't win the popular vote.
True.
Like more people voted for Hillary Clinton than
That
Donald
is
Trump.
true. But I'm saying,
Let's never forget, never forget, never forget. More people voted for Hillary Clinton than Donald Trump.
yeah, you got to bring the bobblehead.
I'm not. I'm not. Thank you,
Yes.
Chris. So
Yes, sir.
there it is.
Yes, sir.
This is a gift from like some of my friends from high school. Emily being one of them, who
Yes.
will be on podcast soon. Here, do you want to make a guest appearance? Like, because we gotta wrap this up, but Emily will be here.
I can't wait. We're gonna talk about really good stuff.
Yeah, do you remember when we talked about on the old podcast?
Walking cities. Walking
Cities.
cities.
Oh,
This
that's a good topic.
Mhm.
That's a good topic.
was this during COVID?
No,
Was this pre-COVID?
no. This was like 2023.
It wasn't 20. Was it 2021?
Yeah,
Was Paul was there, right?
Paul was there.
Paul was there.
Yeah.
And we talked to Josh about it. Um, Emily's gonna be a guest on next. Um, I got some other coworkers planning on coming on,
Oh,
and
Matt said he was coming on, right?
yeah, no, Matt is coming on. I'm gonna make him come on. And like credit to Chris. Chris has been over twice, and I really appreciate him, and I appreciate your perspective, and it's very different from mine. And like it's very different from like a lot of people who watch this. And that's good shit. That's good shit. So come back sometime.
Of course. Yeah. I'd be down.
And I'm gonna be back by myself, probably. Unless anyone here wants to talk about the Canadian election that's happening 5 days from now. If anyone here wants to, let me know. But I'll be back to talk about the Canadian election, which is going to be a huge deal. A huge deal. A huge deal. And one more time,
A huge deal.
a huge deal. So all right. Thanks, Chris.
Of course.
And I'm back. We're back.
You're so back.
We're so back. All right.